companion today. The time by Sagittarius Life is
7 a.m. and it's now time for the Morning Watch with Mr. Stokeley Marshall. Before we get into that, the Morning Watch today is brought to you by the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, achieving prosperity through partnership, economic growth, and sustainable development. And also, Bashko, the store that gives you more. Bashko goes fashion gone decor with the Jamaica Observer Takes Style Out, October 26 to 28. Get up to 50% off. Get ready for some live entertainment and special surprises. On October 28th, Saturday, 21 Orange Street is the place to be. Follow their socials at Bashko Jamaica and visit their website at bashkojm.com for more info.
Through its agencies, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is committed to ensuring all Jamaicans have access to safe, potable water.
In 2022 alone, the NWC has laid a number of new pipes, benefiting over 200,000 Jamaicans.
This year, the government is investing over $7 billion Jamaican dollars into the infrastructure of the National Water Commission through pipelaying and increased storage capacity.
Providing you with water is our mission.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM, Facebook, and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, update on the Israel-Hamas war. In the second watch, myths, legends, and heroes part 4. George William Gordon and Paul Bogle. For our social media question, we ask, what is your solution to the Israel-Hamas war? Share your responses in our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, so good morning. This was a Rick Warren week, clearly. God is no further from you on your worst day than he is on your best day. And this is by David Jeremiah.
Okay, I see. So whether rain or shine is there.
That's right. Whether thunderstorm or peaceful rainbow.
No matter the situation or the circumstances, is there, Jukal?
That's right. 100%.
Testify, Jukal. Testify.
Listen, if I start testifying, the show done. So we could just
testify.
Morning watch today.
All right. Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning.
The first watch will be back after this break.
Flavor. Great sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop and supermarket, everybody sell it. Do all of them nice. Pass the part, me push it.
Great sardines, follow the better flavor.
Holy, yummy full of flavor. Pineapple, coconut and ginger. Yeah. Everybody love the yummy old time full of oats them. Tell them. All round good vibes, full enough style, the bulla well nice. New coconut flavor done right, just like one time. You be bulla with beer or bulla with cheese. No butter pop pie, you be bulla full of flavor. Pineapple, coconut and ginger. Everybody love the new coconut bulla, ask them. All round good vibes, yummy bulla. All round good vibes.
It's the super saving sales event you don't want to miss. Now on at Home and Things. Save on just about everything in store. Tiles, bathroom fixtures, faucets, vanities, lighting, windows, doors, home decor, and more. Get ready for the holidays with super savings on all your construction finishes from Home and Things. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. It's the super saving sales event at Home and Things, Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road. Jamaica bills with Home and Things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to begin boarding for Validation album launch to Swallowfield Chapel with Captain John Mark Wigan of Validation Airlines. We kindly request all passengers to proceed to the boarding gate on October 28, 2023 to prepare for departure at 6 p.m. Before boarding, please reserve your boarding pass at spurOpen.com. For passengers requiring special assistance, please contact 876-396-1808. On behalf of some of the flight crew members, Rhoda Isabella, Samuel Meadows, and Rondell Positive, we look forward to welcoming you at Validation.
In life, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whatever I own
and whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
With Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I am Stokeley Marshall. The war between Israel and Hamas continues. What is the latest? And where do we go from here? Are we in the midst of World War III? That is the question. We have as our guest this morning to discuss this Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemard, Anglican priest, writer, columnist, author. We also have Pastor Everett Edwards, pastor of the Church of the Open Bible, Twickenham Park, commentator, international affairs. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good morning.
Good morning, Stokeley.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Now, first of all, would you both like to declare, if you wish to, you don't have to, your position? Reverend Nemard, are you taking the position in relation to Israel or Hamas? In other words, who do you think is more justified?
It's hard to say take sides, but you have to, when you look at the issue in a comprehensive manner, you can understand Israel's outrage in the attack that Hamas did on its territory. It was horrible in all its at all angles you can look at it, and the taking of hostages and so on. So you could say that there was some justification on the part of Israel to really answer that kind of horrific attack on its territory. The Hamas-Israeli problem has been a long-standing one.
Well, I just firstly want to get your response to that question. It appears that you have answered that specific question. It would appear. Okay, are you through with the answer to that specific question?
Yes, I can leave it at that. I can leave it at that for now.
Okay, fine. Pastor Everett Edwards, are you leaning more towards Israel, leaning towards Hamas? Who do you think is more justified? I think we lost Pastor Edwards. Well, until we have him back, hopefully we'll have him back in a moment. Everett Edwards, Pastor Everett Edwards. Here. Did you hear the question?
Yes,
who do you think is more justified, Israel or Hamas? At the moment,
more justified, more qualifies the response. I think both of them have just causes. Everybody wants a our homeland, somewhere to call our own. But there has to be a way, in my mind, where both can live in peace and fulfill their ambitions. Um, yeah, but I don't think both causes should be at the expense of the other.
Very interesting answers from both of you gentlemen. Are we in the midst of World War III? Reverend Nemad, is this World War III? Even though we're not calling it that.
Let me just quickly say that what cannot be justified at all is the indiscriminate loss of life and property on either side. And we can come back to that probably a little later. But I wouldn't say that we're in the midst of World War III, but what's going to happen is that if the conflict expands, as it appears to be doing, you can rest assured that the larger powers, Russia, for example, who has an interest in the Middle East and who would have an interest in stoking for their own personal problems that they're having in the Ukraine and so on, would stoke, if you allow me the use of that word, Stokeley.
Yes, I realize that you
all
were
right.
deliberately saying so, but I said absolutely nothing.
We're moving right along.
I deliberately said nothing.
They would stoke certain situations down there to start a wider situation. So what has to happen now is that cooler heads have to prevail, and the US has to really be on top of the situation to insist, that it does not really expand to a wider thing, because it could really drag other nations in the area into the conflict and then wider on a more global scale. So, but I wouldn't say that we are in a World War III situation, but it could portend to something very serious later on down the road.
Now, do you think that Hamas is acting as a proxy for another country? I know it's a controversial question, but is Hamas, in your view, the view of either of you gentlemen, acting as a proxy for another country? Pastor Edwards.
No, there's a popular saying that
you said no.
Yes.
Okay, so hold that thought, Pastor Edwards, because I think Reverend Nemad was coming in to say something. Pastor Reverend Nemad, you were going to respond to the question.
Yeah, I was going to say that historically, Hamas has been a proxy for Iran, and Iran and Russia have very strong relationships now. Iran supplies drones and so on to Russia that they're using in the fight with Ukraine.
Stick up in. One second, Mr. Reverend Edwards. Stick up in, Reverend Nemad. In terms of Iran, and we're not saying this is what happened or could have happened or in any way happened, but how does it strike you that the US has, up to recently, given Iran a lot of money in a hostage swap? And how can one verify for sure that none of that money found its way in the wrong hands? Things can happen, things can go wrong.
Well, the US will tell you that they have not really given them the money.
That it is still there, but did they freeze it?
It is enough funded to be used for specific purposes that Iran doesn't have control over the spending of it.
And they're still watching it. They haven't touched it yet.
Right, that's what they have told us.
And what about in the past, when they had in the past given monies to Iran in a sort of arrangement to bring about peace? But I mean, you can have bad actors anywhere,
Oh yes, and that is why the situation has to be so carefully watched. And right now, the relationship between Iran and the US certainly is not a good one.
Hold that thought, Reverend Nemad. Pastor Edwards, you were coming in to say something, sir?
Yes, I wanted to say that while it is true that Iran will use, and any actor will use somebody who is also
I
against.
tell you what, Reverend Edwards, I see we are already upon a break in this very interesting discussion. Listeners, go absolutely nowhere. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Do you have questions about the availability of medication from your drugstore pharmacist? Ask your pharmacist. Contact the NHF to find out more. The time by the NHF is
7:15.
Excuse me, sir. How much patty you are buying?
Me no know.
Me think you should buy 5.
Why? Why me fi buy 5?
Could you see patty have a cheesy surprise?
When you buy any 5 juicy patties, you can cheese it up for free.
Yeah, all 5 patty full of cheese. And it's anchor cheese, you know.
And did I tell you it's only for the month of October?
So you better run go down there fast. Right now.
Cheese! Cheese it up. Upgrade 5 patty to cheese for free today at any juicy patty island-wide. Conditions apply.
Take a good look at your Sagicor Bank credit card. Do you see the Acropolis of Athens? The picture-perfect beaches of Crete? Use your Sagicor Bank credit card and you could discover the magic of Greece. Get a chance to win a luxury trip for 2 to Greece when you spend with your Sagicor Bank Gold and Platinum credit card until November 25, 2023. The more you spend, the more chances to discover Greece. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Visit Sagicor.com to learn more.
NIS pensioners, avoid the wait. Get your NIS pension straight to your bank account. It's easy. Simply visit the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's website, mlss.gov.jm, or the nearest NIS office and collect the direct deposit application form. Then complete the form and submit it along with supporting documents to the NIS office nearest you. Avoid crowds and long lines. Get your money when you want it. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kay. She loved to dance and play. One day at school, she got very ill, and Mom was left with an unbearable bill. It would be easier if Mom was prepared. With School Companion, 80% of the bill is cleared. Medical care for children is a must for as low as $2,400 per month. Make unbearable medical bills go away. Sign up for Sagicor School Companion today.
Holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and our topic in this first watch is update on the Israel-Hamas war. Our guests are Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemard and Pastor Everall Edwards, and just a bit of information here in relation to that money that is to be part of an arrangement between the U.S. and Iran. And this is from CNN Politics, updated 1:41 p.m. EDT, Thursday, October 12, 2023. And it speaks to the $6 billion in Iranian funds. And it reads, among other things, none of the funds have been spent or accessed in any way by Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said at a news conference Thursday that was then in Tel Aviv. It goes on to read, Blinken did not confirm that a quiet understanding had been reached, but made clear the US is able to freeze the funds. Very interesting. Pastor Edwards, just before the break, sir, you were coming in to make a very interesting point. Please go ahead.
As I'm about to say that the relationships in international affairs, as we all know, are fluid. Today I might be your friend, tomorrow I am not. What keeps us together is that we have some kind of common interest. And the common interest currently between Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran, and some other actors in the region, is that they want Israel to be driven into the sea. So there is this opportunity, this convenience, and Reverend Nemard mentioned earlier the level of interest that Israel is able to attack or attract, I should say. For the first time in years, Russia has moved to put a complete joint forces operation based in the Middle East, in Syria.
You know,
China.
Pastor, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
China has a complete armada doing the rounds.
You mean the deployment of the six? You mean the deployment of the 6 warships to the Middle East?
There you go. Yes. So,
yes,
so there is interest.
Reported in the Sun. The UK is the Sun. Yes, go ahead.
We would not say that this is World War III as we anticipate World War III is going to happen, but we are already seeing how easy it is for this to explode into something that encompasses more than just Israel and Hamas.
I see.
That's what I wanted to say.
No problem. Thank you, Pastor Edwards. Is it that had it not been for the US, that Israel would have been feeling completely isolated? And I'll tell you why. You get the sense that, or you are seeing signs that Israel has a lot of enemies in the region. And you're also seeing where even among some people in some places, in the US, there was, some persons who were pro-Hamas essentially went into the US Capitol and occupied it for a considerable period of time some days ago. And I didn't hear much about it in various places in the media, but it happened. And they shouted and they protested and they had signs. And at that time, I believe President Biden might have been in Israel. And we see where on college campuses, for example, Harvard University, an elite institution, an elite university, there have been pro-Hamas demonstrations. So is there a seed of anti-Semitism which is just appearing to, what is really happening? Pastor Nemad, Reverend Nemad, rather?
Yes. I wouldn't see it so much as a kind of spreading anti-Semitism. What I really see is that people, considering what Israel has done in Gaza, the indiscriminate bombings that have resulted in the loss of, I saw on Al Jazeera.
Reverend Nemad, I don't have any brief for Israel, but Israel was invaded by Hamas. I still can't understand how they allowed it to happen, but it happened. And they have been invaded. You don't expect them to react?
Yeah, but with that kind of response, that kind of disproportionate response, there is a thing.
How are they to measure this? I keep hearing about the disproportionate response.
Over 7,000 lives.
Let me give an example. Someone breaks into your house and they come with guns blazing to kill you. Are you to sit down and calculate, okay, he has 1 Glock, so I must not get a gun which I already have in my safe, but I cannot use that gun because it might cause a disproportionate harm to this invader. I don't know.
I don't know if the analogy applies so much to the conflict in Israel. Certainly a man breaks into my house, I don't have a gun, but it's a person's responsibility to defend himself or herself. With
Another
all
analogy,
means, necessary.
another analogy. You're at home and someone comes on your property and says, "Come out of this house. I want the house." What is the proportionate response I'm supposed to give? I really don't understand.
Okay, well, let me get back to Israel though, because 1,400 of your people have been killed. It has been acknowledged, and you have so far decimated over 7,000. Of that, probably 3,000 to 4,000 are children. Gaza has 50% of its population that are 18 and under. And you are just bombing, dropping bombs all over the place. That can't be moral.
Recently, Reverend Nemard, the Israelis said, "Please leave that particular place."
To where? And the very
and I don't recall any similar. I don't recall any similar statement being made by Hamas. Oh, can you please vacate before we bomb or before we invade? Or Israel didn't give any warning to Israel before it went and did what it did in early October this month.
I'm Stokeley. I think that Israel has already made its statement in terms of its own response. And I think that there ought to be a pause right now before there are more loss of lives. How many people must die to avenge Israel's thirst for vengeance?
One second.
How many?
Again. But there is the reality that vengeance is blind. There is this insatiable desire to get rid of this enemy, so that we don't even have to consider them doing October 7th to us again.
You mentioned October 7th, Reverend Nemard. If it is true, and I've heard it many times, I have no reason to doubt it. If it is true that Israel is aware that their enemies want to drive them into the sea and leave them with no country, it might help to explain why they have to ensure that they are not only very well equipped to defend themselves, but why they have to take very strong action when they're attacked. Any comments on that, Reverend Edwards, before we wrap?
I don't think is a perception. This is public statement by several different enemies of Israel that they must be in the sea. It's well known.
Yeah.
You still want, because you expect a particular kind of response from a democratic country, that you respect international conventions. But if you feel threatened, I can't predict how I'm going to respond to the man who wants to displace me and who wants to come into
my place. And by the way, have you seen reference to comments made by the UN Secretary General, which Israel did not like, and in response, Israel has said that they're taking certain steps in relation to the visas of these UN officials.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Reverend Nemad, you have seen that?
Yes, I've seen it, and they have called for the
resignation.
The resignation.
Yeah.
Right. But those are all part of the political flavor.
Indeed.
I don't see that happening. But the point is that,
or is it because Israel is feeling so threatened that they feel they have to even take this action in relation to the United Nations?
And they have to be very careful that they're not killing their own cause.
There is.
They have to be, in terms of the public relations, you talk about what is happening on the campuses throughout the U.S. It's not because people hate Jews. It's because when they look at the way in which Israel is really bombing these helpless people into submission, in order to get Hamas. The vast 2.3 million people in the Gaza, most of those people are helpless.
If it is really a proxy war, they're not helpless. But I'll leave that alone for the moment. But we don't know if it's a proxy war.
But proxy only with Hamas. I mean, you think the vast majority of the Gazan people like Hamas? Hamas has been a danger to their lives down there.
We could discuss this ad nausea. But Reverend Edwards, do you think this is in any way tied to biblical prophecy, or are we making heavy weather of something we ought not to?
It is history, and it is prophecy. There is always going to be the tension between the descendants of Ishmael and the descendants of Isaac.
We have to leave it. We have to leave it right there today, gentlemen, because we are out of time for this segment. Very interesting. Reverend, I know it might appear anticlimactic, but it is now 7:30. We are completely out of time. We probably need to revisit this. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Reverend Nemard and Pastor, it was very interesting. Listeners, we'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by JN Bank is
7:31.
It's the Answers and Simplicity store-wide sale. Up to 70% off from Answers Gifts and Home Center. Answers for children and simplicity. Answers and Simplicity store-wide sale. Up to 70% off in every store. From now till Saturday, October 28th.
Holy, holy.
Now, who doesn't like to hear a great love story? Join us for Marriage Models on the Truly Marvelous program to Heaven to Hold this Thursday, October 26th at 5:30 p.m. with your host, Colleen Beckles, and soak in all the love. That's your family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
As our family grows, our home internet needs have grown too.
And now, with Flow's fiber-fast internet and smart Wi-Fi coverage, we're always connected in any room at home.
With Yacht and Road Plus, get gig speed, fiber fast internet, smart Wi-Fi, plus unlimited mobile on the go. All for the special offer of only $6,999 plus GCT a month. Fiber fast internet and smart Wi-Fi coverage inspired by you. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
When you say Fosrich, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say Fosrich, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say Fosrich, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Fosrich is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Fosrich.
Let the numbers do the talking. Over the past 2 years, we have built over 160 houses, benefiting over 500 people in more than 48 constituencies through the new social housing program. You too can benefit. Simply visit your constituency office and fill out the application form. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Building hope. Building Jamaica.
In life, the more you have, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry. The more you own, the less you sleep.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whatever I own
and whoever I care about are covered by the very best.
With Sagicor Life and Advantage General, get life, health, and general insurance to help you protect what matters most.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on JN Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. JN Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we take a look firstly at the Jamaica Observer. And in the Jamaica Observer today, we have quite a number of interesting stories. One of them is in relation to the BSJ reviewing canned ackee standards. BSJ reviewing canned ackee standards. We also have Data Protection Act to be phased in. We now turn to the Gleaner. In the Gleaner, a number of stories here as well. We have an interesting one here. Early victory for SSL victim. Jean Ford, an 80-year-old retired librarian, has won her bid to have the Supreme Court adjourn hearing applications to strike out her $200 million lawsuit against the fraud hit Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. Very, very interesting. We also have here in the Gleaner, Education Ministry aims for advanced literacy in underperforming schools. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read history feedback from our social media question, which is, what is your solution to the Israel-Hamas war? Leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Now, who doesn't like to hear a great love story? Join us for Marriage Models on the Truly Marvelous program to Heaven to Hold this Thursday, October 26th at 5:30 p.m. with your host, Colleen Beckles, and soak in all the love. That's your family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Hey, small people, listen up. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen. Yes, every day we have something educational and fun for you to enjoy. Plus, on a fifth Friday, you get a chance to hail up your friends and community, and you could win a prize too. That's the Small People Show, where we aim to build characters and empower our small people for the future. Remember to tell a friend and stay for the fun. It's the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on the family station, Love 101.
Love 101, the family station, invites you to Take Time Drive. You can hear reminders and tips on why you should take time drive. Take Time Drive, a villaging of the road safety tips to help you keep safe and your head sound while driving. You only have one life. Drive it well. Take Time Drive on the family station, Love 101.
Oh, this is how we do it. Holy.
Now, who doesn't like to hear a great love story? Join us for Marriage Models on the Truly Marvelous program to Heaven to Hold this Thursday, October 26th at 5:30 p.m. with your host, Colleen Beckles, and soak in all the love. That's your family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Hey, small people,
Listen up. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen. Yes, every day we have something educational and fun for you to enjoy. Plus, on a fifth Friday, you get a chance to hail up your friends and community, and you could win a prize too. That's the Small People Show, where we aim to build characters and empower our small people for the future. Remember to tell a friend and stay for the fun. It's the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on the family station Love 101. Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and it's still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Speak, my Lord. Speak, my Lord. Speak, and I will answer, Lord, send me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. This month of October, we celebrate Heritage Week and we celebrated National Heroes Day. And we wanted to take a look at two of our other national heroes, namely George William Gordon and Paul Bogle. Our guest to have a discussion about these two heroes are Professor Clinton Hutton, specialist in Caribbean political philosophy, culture, and aesthetics. He's an academic and a social commentator. Good morning, Professor. How are you?
Yes, good morning.
Great. Good seeing you, sir. Good hearing you as well.
Hearing me?
Hearing you and seeing you. We are hearing you and we are seeing you, sir. Can you hear us? What might be able to help you, Professor, is maybe, just maybe, if you turn off your camera.
Hearing you now.
Ah, you're hearing us now. Wonderful. Let us try to continue.
Yes.
Professor Hutton, tell us about these two gentlemen. George William Gordon.
I've been hearing you, but you have not been hearing.
I think we're hearing each other now. Can you tell us about these two national heroes, Gordon and Bogle?
Professor Repeat Hutton, that question, please. I didn't hear part of it.
Tell us about Bogle and Gordon.
Yes. Well, these two men have been very important to Jamaica's development, especially in the period after slavery was abolished. The first 30 years after slavery was abolished, 27 years to be exact. George William Gordon was a member of Parliament in what was then called St. Thomas in the East. Bogle was from a community in St. Thomas in the East called Stonygut, He was a leader of a movement in that parish, well known, highly respected, and he was primarily the chief vote getter for George William Gordon. At that time, very few people in the country were able to vote. And vote was based on ownership of property and extent of the tax that a voter or potential voter would pay.
Professor
Hutton? Yes.
Only because we are upon a break. Can you hold that thought for a minute? Listeners, we'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper. That's the winner. Shop on supermarkets. Everybody
Great sardines. Follow the better flavor.
The time is
7:45 and a half.
Suzuki have something for them and them, and woman them. Suzuki rule the road. Purchase a Suzuki Vitara, Grand Vitara, or XL7 and rule the road with Suzuki. And get 1 year free down, valued at $100,000. $100,000. What are you waiting for? Test drive your dream Suzuki today. WhatsApp us at 876-465-3647 and follow us on social media at Suzuki JA for more details. Offer available while stocks last. Only at Stewart's Automotive Group, South Hempro, Kingston, and Iron Drama Bay. Conditions apply.
Love 101, the family station, invites you to Tech Time Drive. You can hear reminders and tips on why you should Tech Time Drive. Tech Time Drive, a bulletin of the road safety tips to help you keep safe and your head sound while driving. You only have one life. Drive it well. Tech Time Drive on the family station, Love 101.
Oh, this is how we do it.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, be it a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
Do you have questions about the availability of medication from your drugstore pharmacist?
Ask your pharmacist.
Contact your pharmacist today by using our online request form via our website, calling 876-906-1106 or texting 876-219-9937. Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. or by emailing rxsupport@nhf.org.jm. NHF is here for health. NHF is here for you.
Ask your pharmacist.
What are deposit-taking institutions? A licensed deposit-taking institution is a financial institution which accepts deposits and makes loans. And when we say licensed deposit-taking institutions, we are talking about a commercial bank, building society, or a merchant bank. Your savings at a deposit-taking institution are covered by deposit insurance. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Cinero's Chromium Plus is an all-natural herbal product formulated specially for people with type 2 diabetes. An elevated sugar level in the blood will lead to renal failure, damage to the brain, and amputation of your toes or feet, damage to the heart, stroke, ECT. Cinero's Chromium Plus will reduce the level of sugar in the blood, taking it down to normal, and protect you. To get your Cinero's Chromium Plus, call Havco Herbs and Extracts, 876-540-8871.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic in the second watch is Myths, Legends, and Heroes, Part 4, the focus on George William Gordon and Paul Bogle, national heroes. And our guest for this segment is Professor Clinton Hutton, specialist in Caribbean political philosophy, culture, and aesthetics. He's an academic and social commentator. Just before the break, Professor Hutton, you were outlining to us, sir, who these gentlemen were, George William Gordon and Paul Bogle. You were outlining for us a little bit of their history and you were beginning to say a couple of other things, but we had to go to the break. Please continue, sir. Please continue, Professor Hutton. Professor Hutton, sir, you may continue. I think there's a delay in the communication. I'm not hearing Professor Hutton at the moment. Professor Hutton, maybe if you turned your camera off, it might allow for a little bit more bandwidth. We would still hear you, but we would not necessarily see your picture, but at least we would probably have more bandwidth so we can hear you better. There might be a delay on the platform, sir. Are you hearing me now, Professor Hutton?
Yes.
It seems as wonderful. You're hearing me now. I was about to say something else. Tell us a little bit more about Bogle and Gordon, sir.
Yes, they played a very important role in efforts to redefine what a country without slavery ought to be. There were two prominent persons in this country who played such a significant role. And to them, a society without slavery should educate its population. So both George William Gordon and Paul Bogle were into education. Indeed, when Bogle opened his chapel in 1864 in Stony Gut, his chapel was also a schoolhouse. So they were well into it. George William Gordon in his meetings told the black population that they need to be educated because the time will come when they will have to rule Jamaica. So education was very important for these two men, and it was very important for the population of formerly enslaved people. Bogle, for example, in his movement, and this was fairly common amongst people in St. Thomas, and I suspect other parts of Jamaica as well, they came up with a definition for freedom. That freedom cannot just mean freedom from being chained to a particular estate and owned, right? While the chain, it's good for the chain to be broken, Bogle also argued, and certainly a lot of his people, including the youngest leader of the movement, James McLaren, argued that real freedom means liberty of person, liberty of land. That one is not fully free if one does not have one's own living. And therefore, freedom was tied up into the freedom of a person, but also the freedom to have access to the means of making such a person's own livelihood. And therefore, for example, James McLaren in a public meeting in St. Thomas in 1865 argued that the people should be given land and that they should not have to pay for it because they have earned it. That in all of these hundreds of years of enslavement, 330 odd years of enslavement, the people worked and created wealth for Europe, and now they should own the land without having to be paid for it. And I mean, one could argue today, 168 years after, that the basic architecture of land tenure in Jamaica is pretty much shaped by what it was during slavery.
Explain.
Explain in the sense that two things. One, many people do not have land of their own. and those who managed to get land, they did so by paying for it. When slavery was abolished, it was the slaveholders who were paid some 47 million.
A slight difficulty hearing you, Professor. You are saying that the slave owners received. You are saying that the slave owners were received their reparations. That's what you are saying.
Enslaved people, say black for 3. It went.
I'm not sure if you're hearing it so clearly, Professor. Professor, are we hearing you, Professor? I'm not sure if you're hearing it so clearly.
To when to the plan.
Professor, I think we're having a difficulty hearing you. We will ask you to pause one moment, Professor. Listeners go nowhere at all. We'll just take a break for a moment. We'll be right back on the morning walk.
Now, who doesn't like to hear a great love story? Join us for Marriage Models on the Truly Marvelous program to Heaven to Hold this Thursday, October 26th at 5:30 p.m. with your host, Colleen Beckles, and soak in all the love. That's your family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Hey, small people, listen up. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen. Yes, every day we have something educational and fun for you to enjoy. Plus, on a fifth Friday, you get a chance to hail up your friends and community, and you could win a prize too. That's the Small People Show, where we aim to build characters and empower our small people for the future. Remember to tell a friend and stay for the fun. It's the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on the family station, Love 101.
Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and is still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Speak, my Lord. Speak, my Lord. Speak, and I will answer. Lord, send me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I am your host, Stokeley Marshall. We do apologize for that break a moment ago when we were speaking to Professor Clinton Hutton, specialist in Caribbean political philosophy, culture, and aesthetics, in relation to our second watch topic, where we were speaking about national heroes George William Gordon and Paul Bogle and their contributions to Jamaica. We do apologize that we were not able to complete that interview because, regrettably, there was a disturbance in the line. We want to thank Professor Hutton for having spoken to us in relation to those two gentlemen who I think have made very, very, very invaluable contributions, in my view, some of the most stellar contributions. I want to thank Professor Hutton for having been with us today. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information on how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. Join Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week as he looks at other topical and controversial issues. I am Stokeley Marshall, hanging back to Love in the Morning with Jukal.
We want to thank our sponsors for today, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and also Bashco, the store that gives you more.